So Mike, I guess, in conclusion, you started with talking about data and data integration and big data and data mining and AI. And then you talked about, the GPS, the integration of GPS, which is, well understood. And now you have that big amount of data that you've got to absorb. And then you have to absorb all the license plate recognition database you talked about, just a huge number. Where, what's over the next 2 to 3 years? What's next? Is it a matter of a new technology coming down the pike that you see, or is it a matter of increasing the data mining and AI to absorb all this data and make more sense of it?
I think it's probably the latter. I guess there could be some additional technological developments, but there have been several over the past few years, and I think at least what we're focused on right now is how do we optimize the use of those, because they can take us a long way.
Sure. Sure.
I think developments in the short to intermediate term will probably just be refinements or enhancements to the core technologies that have emerged in the past few years.
So data mining, AI is going to play the bigger role as all that gets more sophisticated.
Sure. And even the technologies that I mentioned, GPS and LPR, I mean, in one sense, those are just data engines. They generate data. Mm-hmm. that has to be acted upon. So in that sense, that data feeds into an AI engine as well.
Interesting. You would, and I guess I might maybe conclude here with, maybe a thought. Obviously, you're using all that technology for repossession purposes, but I would think the next piece of that is for your clients to start tracking their accounts that are delinquent and start gathering the data almost in like a staging area to be tracking from day one. So if you knew ahead of time that somebody's 30 days late, 60 days late, and you wanted to start tracking those that are high risk, so it would give you better data, wouldn't it, at the time?
Absolutely. And in fact, we're not in the collection side of the business. We stay pretty focused on collateral recovery, but sophisticated lenders are using technology like LPR, for instance, to assist in front-end collections. Just as an example, sort of similar to what you just mentioned, if you've got a loan that's gone delinquent and you have a bunch of license plate hit data and sightings that are in a completely different location than where you think your borrower is, that's a warning signal for sure. And you would deploy different strategies with that kind of information than you would if it looked like they were just late, but they're still at the location they were when you made them the loan. So this kind of data is already being used to support front-end collections activity already.
Mostly on consumer or also on commercial?
I would say mostly on consumer, just because consumer is a few years ahead of commercial in terms of the level of sophistication that's being applied. It's so much larger of a business that, in a thinner margin business, that the lenders have had to sharpen their pencils a lot faster than the commercial lenders.
Gotcha.
But commercial's getting there, for sure.
Interesting. Well, Mike, thank you so much for talking to us about what's new in an old industry and what's changing and what comes next. And I think it's just fascinating. And certainly on a commercial side, it might be some things for us to start thinking about how to use that technology and bringing it more forward as your consumer clients are bringing it forward. It's kind of fascinating, really. So thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it. I hope we can catch back up with you. And if we generate some questions from the Leasing Avenues consumers who are watching it, I'll funnel those back to you, and we'll be able to maybe keep a trail of conversation going with the equipment leasing and finance industry. So thank you for your time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Take care.